is Barb Moran. I'm the Program Officer with First Peoples Development. And on behalf of our organization, I would like to welcome you to the video session on traditional drums for all. The session will be led by Mark Hall, a knowledge keeper from Sioux Valley, Dakota Nation. He will speak on the significance of the drum and will guide us through the way of creating your own drum throughout this video. I would like to pass this on to Mark now, and I hope you all have fun. Thank you.
Mitakiapi, friends and relatives. My name is Mark Hall. I come from Sioux Valley, Dakota Nation. I've been given tobacco to talk about the significance of the drum, the hand drum. The drum is a very important part, an integral part of our spiritual way of life. We always have the drum to perform ceremonies, to continue invoking the heartbeat of Mother Earth. And when we hit that drum, it always brings us back to Mother Earth, to her way of life. We also understand the connection that we have to all the elements in nature, all the elements of mankind. And the drum is an important part of celebrating life, celebrating all that is positive out there. It is also a healing tool, a healing instrument that helps us to look into ourselves and also to gather the people together and enjoy life as we know it. So the heartbeat of Mother Earth is so integral in everything that we do throughout North America. And so when we hit that drum 4 times, that takes us back to the 4 directions. It also takes us back to the 4 elements that first started in time way back. And so this is an important part of giving to the community, letting the next generation know what the drum is all about, so that ensuring that they can keep this way of life continuing on, and listening to the songs, the stories through the songs, the connection, the spiritual connections through the song. And so these are types of things that we do with these drums. I'd just like to say that prior to cutting out the drums and using the water for the drums and all the instruments that are being used for this instructional video, we are going to smudge them all down with the 4 medicines, so that only the environment is positive. As I explained before, that the drum is an important part of ceremony, and when we make something like that, we smudge because we need to clean ourselves off, and so that only good things happen and only positive things happen, and what we bring to our communities, what we bring to our people is something positive and a good thing. So with that, I just wanted to share that with you. Mitakiwas, thank you. Okay, the material that we need for this drum making is the hide, and this hide is essential for making the outer layer of your drum. For the drum, it's made out of elk, moose, buffalo, or deer. I believe this one is elk. The other material that we need is the drum, the rim. This is made out of wood, and it's I believe it's a 14-inch, and this is again to hold the hide together in the circle, and then to make the handle and all that comes from the hide. But again, the rim is another part of what we need to make the drum. Cardboard for the template. Again, making this template is essential so that we can cut out that hide. Mini punch to punch out all the holes in the hide. So you can pick this up at Michael's. I believe they're roughly about $8 for a package. And again, using these to to make those holes all the way around the hide to connect it to the rim. So essential. Measuring tape to measure. Sharpie pen to create circles, to create lines. We're going to need wood, a piece of wood, and this is essential because we're going to make holes in our hide, and then we don't want to damage the table. So this is one of the examples is we had to hit the mallet onto the punch and it created holes. So we want to stop that. So we'll need a mallet. And we'll also need some scissors to cut out the hide and the template, and latex gloves to protect your hands. Good day, everybody. I just wanted to again start doing the process of making our drums, and again we have the rim, which is made of the circle, and this is an important part because it's made from the tree, and in our First Nations the tree is represented the tree of life, and that connection up above and down below, and the axis mundi. And so we have the rim here, and it's a circle with no beginning, no end. And this is the part where we put the hide on top of this to make our drum. And so when we take this and we have a cardboard, and we use a framework so that it will go onto the hide, so we can draw it out and work on it with the frame. So we're going to be making that template. And so I've taken the rim like this, and I put it on basically in the middle, and I grab the Sharpie and make that circle. Go all the way around, a continuous flow, the best way that you can. It goes around like that, and then we have our circle. We place it over here, and then we'd have our circle there. And one of the things that we try and do is make sure that it overlaps on the back end, so that when we tie it together, it becomes, because it's wet, it's gonna just pull together. When it dries, it's just gonna tighten everything up, and then that's where you're gonna get your sound. So when I have it down laid like this, and I have the circle, I take my tape measure, and I just go like, maybe 3 1/4 over all the way around. We just make our extension of the circle, and this is so that the hide will fit right around the rim, even to this part that we need to cover up. So I go around, and I quickly do this. I'm not doing real quick right now, but again, we're doing the best that we can. There's a lot of work, a lot of preparation that has to come to making these drums. So again, learning, listening, and getting involved with it is an important part of making these drums. So, and then I just add the line. And as you can see now that I've made the template here, I got the inner circle from the rim, and then I added that 3 1/2 here. And so I'm going to take my scissors and cut out the template. And this is, we use cardboard because it's very stiff, but it's also, you can manipulate it. And when we have the hide like that, this helps us to make that circle. And there, as you see, the template is being made nice and round, and we cut it with scissors. Okay, and the next step that we have here is we have the hide, which is used to make the drum and putting it all together, making the sound. The hide, again, came from an animal such as a moose, deer, elk, buffalo, and it's an important part because it attaches it, and so we use the hide to, we don't try and waste the hide at all. We try and keep as much as we can. again, all of this animal has given its life up for us so that we can make this thing, make these drums. And so we want to, respect that and do not waste. And so we also use it for the lacing to tie it all together. So this is an important part, again, to remember that wasting is not a very good thing. And so we try and find the thickest part of the hide. The thickest part is usually by the neck or by the hump of the buffalo or the hump of the elk, and we try and find that. So we spread it out like this, and our finished template here, we can go and we put it in here, and we manipulate it the best way that we can. We're not going to have it perfect, but we manipulate it the best way that we can. And then we take our Sharpie again, and we just do a trace around the template. And so we have it all laid out here. The template still, we can use that later on for something else or even to make another drum. And then we made our circle here. And our circle's made. And you notice that there's a lot of space here. And this can be all used for the lacing. That's the lacing to tie it all together. So we get quite a bit of, get quite a bit of drums made from one hide. So now the next step is we turn and we go ahead and start to cut the hide out. All right. And so when we cut it like that, again, we follow the circle. And you'll notice it's very tough to cut. So again, sharp scissors, I always say. And as we finished cutting out the hide, the round circle for the drum, now that we have the lace in the other part, we have a lot of stuff, a lot of usable material here. And so we usually cut out the lacing, and the lacing is just like your shoelaces. We'll tie it and pull it all together. So what we usually do is we take scissors again, and we cut about 2.5, 3 inches around, and it's just making that lacing so that connects everything, ties everything together. Okay, this one is pretty well about 5 feet, I guess, and this is good for using for the handle, for making the handle at the back of the drum. And so we always try and use everything of the animal, of the hide. So that's a good start there. Do it a little bit longer because we can manipulate it a little bit better. Again, I'm making a long piece here, all the way around. There's a longer piece. It's probably roughly about 8 feet. And that's a nice long piece to tie together. And so these are basically what we use to tie that drum together. All right, so the template here is done. The hide is cut and the lacing is cut. And now what we're going to do is we're going to soak it overnight so that tomorrow we can form it around the drum, the rim of the drum. Now that we've soaked the hides overnight and they are prepared here, and we would like to, if you want to, you can use the latex gloves, put them on, and to make sure your hands don't get too wet, or if you're uncomfortable, we don't want anything to happen to your hands. I'm used to it, so I'm gonna basically take the the hide out of the drum, out of the water, and then we're going to start to make the holes for them. So I'm going to go here. This has been soaking overnight, and you just kind of take the little bit of excess water off, and then the other important part is that we have this little piece of wood here, and we're going to put this lay right on there. And this is where we use our punch, our leather punch, and our mallet. And so once we start to make the holes, roughly about 1/2 inch from the side, we just go put it right here. There's one hole, and then we go over to roughly 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, make another one. And sometimes we need some strong wood. And we go all the way around the drum. And what is this? What we're preparing is the lacing, and sometimes it gets a little stuck, so that's why we have this little hole there. And we get the stuff out of there. And as I'm coming to the end, you notice that the circles rounder and rounder, and we're trying to make it all uniform as best as we can. And so we punched all the holes, and there'll be a little bit of excess here, but we can take that off and basically go like that, move it aside. If they finish it all, it can be taken all off. Then, basically, we're almost ready to put it on top of the rim. And so we have all the holes around, and that's for that excess lacing. Reminding the rough part, the inner part of this hide, that goes inside. And then we take the rim and we place it on here. And it's basically, that's how we start. And then we go to our lacing, and that's the excess part. And then we start to stretch it out. And you'll notice it'll start to get smaller as we pull it, and the water comes out of it. And this is our rope, to put this all together. And then we start to put this hide onto the drum rim, and that's where we're at. Okay, now that I pulled the lacing out of there, there is going to be a little bit of an excess, like this little piece here. You come and you trim it off a little bit, not too much, just enough to be uniform, and so it doesn't show up too much in your lacing of your drum. What we're trying to do is something very, very conformed. So, and at the end, say sometimes you get a little bit of a groove or a bump. You know, sometimes it doesn't go all the way through. So just like a shoelace, we just cut that and form a little bit of a point, and that's what is going to go through those holes. So now we set the rim up. We're trying to put it right in the middle again, and then we just kind of pull it up like this, just like that. Got to come over just a little bit, just to put it near the center of your hide, and then now we start the lacing up process. And again, I'm going to just put a little bit of a point on this one to start it. And the holes that we have here, we just go in and out, in and out. just keep on going. And I got 2 last holes here that I got to finish off here. And you'll notice sometimes they're not set properly. You don't panic. Basically, you just take this one, the same one, and catch the next one over. And then you pull it through the same hole. The same hole, and then you just tie it off here. Just tie it off. And you'll notice that I've left a little bit of a loop here. And that's important because it's going to help us pull everything together for the next step. And so I'm just going to tie this off here. And any little bit of excess, you just take off. You just take it off, and then now you take that second. Again, it's a lot longer. And those loops that we talked about, you just take them in, place them in here. There you have your round. And then you take your rim, put it on top. Try and center it as best as you can. And you start. What I really usually do is I would put this, I'll put a little notch in here. And then I'll slip this in there. So this is just like tying it. It's a lot easier on your hands too, when you have that on. All right, so now we're lacing in right there, and the next one over, just lacing it in there. And then there's the end of your last part, and I tied it off. And this is where I start pulling it tight. And now that we've laced it all up and we've put it all together and we tighten it as best as we could, because we know that this is still wet. See, it's still wet, but it's going to dry. And that's what's going to happen. It's going to dry out and pull it all together. We're going to start to handle. And this is one of the excess part that I got from here. So what I'm going to do is this end part, I'm going to make a little nick here. And this is to make the handle so that you can hold it and when you sing, and just kind of eyeball where the halfway point is, and I'm going to put it through, pull it together like this, and I stick the excess underneath, go across. This is also represents the 4 directions. I'm going to go through this right here, and basically tie it, pull it a little bit, and then I just
I usually just twist it around. And you'll notice that the water's coming out of it as you're pulling it. So that's a good sign. And then you get to the edge, and you basically tie it off. Use a knot if you have to. Make sure it goes on real good so that when it tightens like that, it won't come apart. So that's one. And then you grab the excess, some of the excess, and then you pull it like this. Again, stretching it out. Then you get the end. And you could do it differently, but this one, I like doing it because it doesn't waste anything. And then And then if you want to really connect it together, just add in here. And I would cut it right here. And basically there's your handle. Now you let this dry for 3 to 4 days, and basically you watch it tighten up, and then there's your hand drum. The next part that I want to show is basically the drumstick. This is the drumstick that actually touches the drum, and it's to make the sound. And it's an important part of respecting it. Respecting it is utmost, because again, you're using the heartbeat. You're making the heartbeat of Mother Earth, and the drumstick is basically a stick that this one is made out of fiberglass that we cut to this length. And what I did was I put a tensioner bandage, an old one, in there, tied it all together. I used hockey tape, tied it, and just wrapped it until it was very strong. And then I got a fabric land. I went to get some of this leather, not leather, but cotton, I guess, but a little bit of a fuzz on there. And I like using these because it gives it a better sound. It's not as, how do you say, like a a plangy sound. It kind of gives them that bass. And so I sewed that on, I formed it, sewed it on, and then I used my handle. I just took a little piece of leather that I had, and I wrapped that tensioner first around, and then I wrapped hockey tape, white hockey tape around, and then I sewed it right down the bottom, and this handle will last for quite a while. And so I have this, and you know, basically you hit the drum. And this one is a leather one, all leather, and you'll notice that I did it the same way, but I just used a little bit of leather rather than using we call them fluffies, but we use this one and you'll notice the difference in sound. It's got a little bit of a slappy load. These are just different drumsticks again that you can work on, using anything that's available to you, and making these drumsticks your own. You can fancy them up, you know, do what you need to do, put pride in it. Basically, that's what it is, putting pride in the stuff you can do. To me, it's, again, continuing working with our drums, improving it, working with it, showing this to young people, so that again, our hand drums will never die out. And so with that, I'll leave that with you. Thank you.
I hope you're happy with your drum. I'd like to thank Mark Hall for his traditional teachings on how to create that drum and what the significance was. Also, I would like to thank New Horizons Senior Program for the financial component of this project. And I also would like to thank DecisionWorks, our partner, for creating this video. Thank you for your time, and I hope you can share your knowledge with your community. Thank you.
Darling, don't cry.